Hello. So today we're going to be talking about the Daniel Clough, that's me, SDXL bot. And the bot means that it is a Discord bot and it is licensed AGPL v3. So that means that even while you're using it over a network, you still need to share your code if you change anything in this repository. It will be using the Discord.js library, which is why it's mostly JavaScript, and there's a little bit of Python in there to make it work with the Hugging Face repositories on the local system. So I'm going to be using LXC for security reasons, and you can see details about the difference between Docker containerization and Linux containerization in this file here, or this link here, and a little note about using safe tensors with a link to a paper about why that is important. So you will need LXC installed, and that's done by installing LXD, which manages all of that. And when you have that installed, you'll see a version number if you type this command. And you're also going to need Cuda and optionally Cuda Toolkit. So when you do the Cuda SMI command, it will show you the Cuda version, and you're going to need something above 12. So, or I haven't tested it with anything below 12 at least. So, and then the Cuda toolkit can be confirmed installation using dpackage, and this is what you should see. We'll use that in just a moment in order to make sure that our repositories are all in sync, or well, to make sure that your container is running Cuda before you finish running, like following the tutorial. Okay, so this clone repos section, I've already done all of this because it takes a while. Don't skip this line right here if you think, oh, well, I've already got Git. As you need to make sure you also have Git LFS, which is the large file system for Git, because that is going to allow you to download very large files from the Hugging Face repository, and that will take a very long time. So that's why I did it before we got here. You're going to need a developer application bot ID thingy. So here, so I've got this one going. If you don't, there was a start new or create new application link up here, and you will need this application ID. So we'll just copy that and really quick put that here so we can grab the link that we need to use and have that here, and then it goes here in this client ID section. Some people call it a client ID, a bot ID, and an application ID in different places, but you just take that link and put it right here, and that once you enter, it'll bring you to Discord.js and ask you about permissions. It's going to take quite a while because my system is running a heavy load, so I've already done that part. And now we need to deal with the environment variables. So in the repository, I already started you off with an example env with the required environment variables. And you can find your bot token here, you will see my token, but you never want to share this with anybody. So this is not going to be used. I'll be deleting this application soon. This command prefix can be changed to anything right here. I use a bot room in order to prevent commands from going outside of the bot room. So, oops, first we're going to need to get the channel ID for that and put that here. And then I was already on with the restricted roles, which we're going to get from here. So this welcome role right there prevents anybody from using the bot that you don't want to use the bot. And then you're going to need to put your own repository right here if you're not using mine, like if you're changing anything, and that ought to do that. Now, you would normally just copy this file to your .env file, but I already have one, so I'm not going to do that. And next, we're going to install the LXC container. So I'm spending more time on this than other things because I feel like it's probably one of the less familiar aspects of what's going on here. So, hold on. All right, so we're just launching a new container of Ubuntu type with the version 2204, which is the current long-term release. And we're going to call it SDXL and include the Nvida runtime, which allows LXD to manage keeping everything up to date. So I've already started a container for the test run. So stop SDXL and remove SDXL, now launch, and this is going to happen really quickly, so by the time we've got this command ready, we're already ready to go. So if you've ever dealt with virtual machines, you'll know that this is very, very quick and nice. So the next thing we're going to need to do is set the GPU that we just added, called GPU, to be able to be used with our non-privileged user on the LXC container. So this 1000 right here is going to equal Ubuntu on the LXC container. And this runs the NVIDIA SMI command on the container, and you notice that it's the same version. So here I'm going to push this file bandwidth test from the Cuda tools and push it to SDXL, just the root directory there. So using that, I'm going to execute that file from the host system just to show that it works. And it does. Next, we're going to need to share our GitHome SDXL bot repository directory that you downloaded to the SDXL container at SDXL. So looks like I dum-dummed this. My git home is not set. So git home is actually going to be equal to dgit because it's not at my home directory. So now I'll do it and it works. All right. Now we're going to want to change the ownership of this directory that we downloaded to be able to be used both on the container and on the host. So we're going to do that. Right. So if you're using Snap, then you'll have this user ID on your host. If you're using app to install, then your user ID will be different. So just be aware of that. And now we are ready to enter into the container. I don't want to do that, but I have that there just because we're probably going to use that later. So you notice that we changed from Daniel at host to Ubuntu at container name. And we're going to install all of the Python things that we're going to need, which is pretty simple, so I'm not going to go through explaining it all. And while that's going on, let me take this again, enter in at a second location so that we can concurrently install what we need from JavaScript. So we're going to add our home environment variable as home into our bash RC, and then we're going to source that in order that it can be used by the NVM script. So this is the way that I usually install Node, and it works really great. So we're going to do that, and it's installing it. And then we're going to need to source that again. So now that we have it installed, we're going to install Node 18 and use Node 18. So that's all very simple. And then finally, we're going to install the package JSON as soon as this is done. So, oops. CD SDXL and npmi. Great. So that is all done. So we can exit. And as soon as we are done with the pip install, we can try it out. So pip is taking a while. So while we're waiting for this, we might as well talk about the files that we're going to deal with. So I've documented this with comments so that you can see basically what's going on. If you want to get rid of this bot room stuff and the wait to delete stuff, it's a pretty simple process if you understand Discord.js. That's all happening through this warn remove send command or function. So you can just delete that and put the regular channel.send in there, and that'll all work just fine. Prompt text is required argument. So if you type in the command without a prompt text, it will warn. And there is this alias. So if you type in your command prefix twice followed by prompt text, then it'll use that instead of typing out the whole SDXL command. So pretty simple stuff here. Get random seed will get a seed for each of these 4 iterations that it's going to go through. You can inspect the function down here at the bottom. It's very simple. And then since we are using a child process, we need to use regex to escape all of the symbols that could be used for command injection and everything that we don't want to be going into SDXL model. So we'll be using this delimiter in order to put the seed list in there right next to the prompt. And that goes in here using child exec. And this pipe allows us to see what's going on when we are typing this command. So now we're going to, from the host, execute this file that is at, can't get rid of the white part, but so home ubuntu.nvme, that's where we have NVMe installed, and that's where the binary node is, and that binary is going to execute this index.js. So everything works perfectly and gives us a little log there so we know what's going on. And you'll notice that if we type a command here, our bot is like, no, we can't take anything from this welcome command. So we need to remove the welcome role so that now we can use commands. And then it prefers it to be in this bot room, so it tells us about it here instead. So this is pretty simple, but you can, it's designed to be simple so that you can do whatever you want with it. I saw the only other Discord Stable Diffusion bot was actually extremely complicated with over 3,000 lines of code. So I was like, okay, people probably need something that is easy for them to look at, understand, and then incorporate into their own system. Here is the copyleft notice, and that allows people to always know what the code is, regardless of, if you change it or not. And then help SDXL. This proves that it won't work without any command line arguments. Let's see. Help SDXL. This is where we can see what the aliases are and that the prompt text is required. So now we want to use the alias to do a sample image. So this is going to take about 4 minutes, and you might want to change that time or get rid of it altogether. If you're going to use slash commands, you probably, I don't know, just however you prefer your user experience to go, you can change that. And you can see here the progress as expected from the fact that we pipe the process, the Python process into JavaScript here. So finally, when this exits or finishes, then it will go through this loop and put the files into the array based on the seed from the seeds array, and then attach them from the directory which they're stored. And that's all pretty simple. Finally, while we are waiting, we can look at the Python. So this is all pretty simple. If you have a less capable GPU and you want to use a different model, or if you want to use if you want to use a different model, you can change this model here, and as long as it's in your models directory, or if you change this to like Stability AI, now it recognizes that Stability AI is on Hugging Face, and then it'll download it. But since we want to run it locally, you can do that by just having your local directory here. The refiner is not necessary, but it does a couple of nice little touch-ups. So you can delete this if it requires too much VRAM for you, or however you prefer it. And this is where we're taking our input as arguments from JavaScript, adding negative and positive prompts, writing over that variable with the positive prompt, and then the negative prompt is added down here. And then we're going to loop over the seeds and turn that into a number because it requires a number, and it comes in as a string, obviously. So looks like everything is done. I don't know why there's an error buffer there, but it does work, and these are beautiful sample images. So I hope that this works out for you and you learn something, and maybe you can incorporate this into your own project. Have a great day.